Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and in business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now, here's your host, Dr. Kelly Polzin.
Welcome. With me today, I have the legend, Dr. Chris Colgin. He has been around. This guy has seen some stuff. He's done some things. He's been around 27 years. He has transitioned, and this guy flies around the country delivering services as well as services from his house. So with me today, I can't wait to delve into more of the life of the famous and notorious Dr. Chris Colgin. Thank you for coming with me today.
Oh man, mahalo, dude. I mean, thank you so much. That was a very generous, intro, and I so appreciate that. But yeah, after you said that, I go, yeah, I guess I have been doing quite a few things lately,
Right? I see you all over on social. I see you delivering speeches. You're always eating dinner at the finest restaurants, flying all over. You're in Hawaii. You're in Arizona. You just got back. You were on a red eye the other day.
Yeah, I was in Tampa, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're clearly incredibly active in the chiropractic community. As you know, our motto at TCP is that we are all more alike than we are different. Give us the 30,000-foot overview. Who is Dr. Chris Colgin, and on a personal and professional basis?
Sure. Well, on a personal basis, who am I? I'm married to my wife, my amazing wife, Sandy. We're going on next month will be 15 years. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it.
Wow.
It's awesome. She has literally been let's just say tolerant and very supportive of everything that's been going on with us. Especially with my career, with relationships, and everything about her. And she is truly a champion of everything. So I'm very blessed that that she's in my life, and God, thank God she is. The other thing, who am I? Well, I'm originally from Hawaii, so if you see me dropping a shock every now and then, that's why. I grew up the majority of my life in the San Francisco Bay Area. My father was I used to work for Pan American, and so we'd always fly back to Hawaii to see Grandma. My mother is originally from Hawaii, and out of 3 kids, I was the one born there. So that's kind of me and the whole Hawaii thing. Chiropractic is something I experienced when I was 15 years of age due to a wrestling injury at Cerro High School. That's where San Mateo's greatest Tom Brady went to high school, by the way. And
that's right.
Yeah, San Mateo's own, right? And so and Barry Bonds of the Giants, and all kinds of great athletes that come out of school. Well, I found out about chiropractic trying out for the wrestling team, of all things, and realized that pain I was experiencing had a foundation to it due to a pretty amazing scoliosis that I was experiencing. People would always comment to me, hey, will you sit upright? Will you do this? And I go, well, I am. And realizing that it wasn't. So I started some friends of the family who were weightlifters. They were bodybuilders, right? And they said, no, don't go see this orthopedic surgeon guy. Go see this guy. He's a chiropractor. And I looked at the card. It says Dr. Nick Athens, chiropractor. I asked my dad, I go, Dad, what's a chiropractor? He goes, son, I think you'll like this. And the moment I walked in, got my exam, my x-rays, and after that first adjustment, I was never the same. It was just like, wow, what an amazing experience. And back then, we're talking around 1986, where I wasn't licensed yet to drive a car, and I was taking the bus 3 times a week, 30 minutes each way to get adjusted, to show my dedication to improving, getting better. But the biggest thing other than just the pain relief was just how much healthier I was getting. Allergies went away. I had more energy. My grades went up. I mean, it had a huge impact at such a young time in my life that at 17, I made the decision to become a chiropractor. Let me tell you, my parents were so happy that their oldest knew what he wanted to do and they didn't have to deal with him,
Right.
So that's who I was. And, and until this day, the last time I had an aspirin or an Advil, I think I was 25 years old. I'm 51 now, or a shot of any kind, unless it was in a glass. But other than that, I'm at a point in my career where I've done a lot, been through a lot. I love supporting my profession. As much as I really enjoy helping patients, I love helping my colleagues. And that is what has led me to this point of using this experience either to help other chiropractors that are currently in practice, or help those chiropractors add more cash-based services, such as weight losses, which is one of the things I've specialized in. And so that way they could help a whole new level of patient that is truly the cause of their subluxation process, of what's going on. So it's been an amazing journey with that, and it's been fun helping my colleagues bring in more income, helping more patients, getting better results, and just really starting to see how a practice can truly be in today's era.
Now, when you started out, and I guess everybody already put the numbers together in their head, but 27 years ago with your practice, right?
Right. Yeah.
Did you start your own practice, or did you associate, or did you just pure chiropractic? What was your first year like?
My first year, it was kind of a mess. But it was a situation where I was very fortunate that I had a doctor nearby. His name was Dr. Tom Ferrigno. We were out of Burlingame, California, just near the San Francisco airport. And he was looking for, a couple of associates, and a colleague of mine, a friend of mine who just graduated and lived near me says, "Chris, they got extra space here. Why don't you come interview and maybe you can, you can start practicing." I go, "Oh, that'd be great." And plus it was a hop, skip, and a jump where I lived. And he gave me that opportunity and basically made an arrangement with me like, "Look, I want you working, why don't I just collect 50% of whatever you make? And until you get to a certain point, then you could, pay rent and keep the rest." I said, "Fine." So it took me about a good two and a half years to really start seeing some good money coming in. And then it got to that point, hey, I think it's time for me to just pay that flat fee. He goes, that means I can't make money off you anymore. I said, "Oh, it's all right. You'll make it some other way, And then, but yeah, it was very much a very eye-opening experience. It gave me a lot of insight as to what is needed to run a business. I learned a lot, and then when it was time to open, okay, I was ready. It was time to do my own thing.
So how long did you stay with him before you opened your own doors?
I think I stayed with him about a good 4 years. And then I was in transition within Burlingame. I practiced with another doctor for about a year. Then we said, okay, that's it. Enough's enough. We're opening our own place. So it was around 2002, that I opened up down the road in Foster City, California. And we were in that clinic for about a good 7 years, and then San Mateo for another till now, since then. So yeah, it's been quite the journey.
How far? Because when I went to chiropractic school, they said when you do a clinic move, you always need to stay within 3 miles of your initial location, or you're going to lose like 70% of your patient base.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, there is always that, right? But I don't know. It just seems like I wasn't really concerned. And also our moves were very calculated. I mean, from one area to another, it was probably within 5 miles, maybe, if that. And it also depends too. We found, geographically that certain people were coming more, say, from the south than the north. And as long as you had easy freeway access, it was fine. I mean, that part has never been a concern for me, just because we're going to attract who the right people are in our clinic, no matter where we are,
Right. Okay. I mean, I truly believe that as well. When you did that move portion and you started to expand, when did you start implementing more services? Because when you open the first door, I mean, you're just trying to learn. I mean, you graduate, right, and that's like the beginning. Truly, commencement is the beginning of something, not the end of something, where you just start to learn what to do. So those first 2 years are just a gong show. Yeah. When did you start adding services to your kind of menu suite of services?
That's a great question. I would say the beginnings of that started around 2008, where I was really looking at the whole weight loss model. It's kind of funny. There were some doctors, or actually at Palmer West, they did a study back then, and they were talking to these guys that were saying, "Look, we truly feel there's a certain direction that chiropractic is going in." And after they got the data from this particular company, they said, "What the direction that you actually going to is weight loss." And when I spoke to the president of the college at that time, I go, "Really?" I go, "Well, I could totally relate to that because that's what I'm doing." So in a way, I'm kind of agreeing with that, but I had no idea that study was even done, or a survey of that kind of magnitude was performed. And, so I would say we started really dipping into the weight loss scene around 2008. Didn't really know what we were doing yet, but it was also a time too that just by default, I also noticed the effectiveness of my adjustments were becoming, they weren't as effective. And let me explain that to you. Like sometimes I would see someone with a headache and would think that, hey, within 2 or 3 visits, that headache's gone. Let's get that good adjustment in. But then all of a sudden it wasn't happening. And that was a period of time too, where the word GMOs were coming out. Organic, gluten-free, all these things were starting to happen. And actually you can go back to the first time I ever heard about something being gluten-free or gluten sensitive was actually in 2001, 2002. And now you see it everywhere. This is a gluten-free product. This is that. So I was really getting onto something about the world of food toxicity and inflammation and how it's affecting lives. And me being Filipino Hawaiian, okay, hey, I love to eat. All right, I'm not going to kid you, man. That is something that I really enjoy food. And that's why you've probably seen me traveling all these places, going, man, if there's one thing I've learned is I hate eating bad food. Okay. It's an insult if you serve me something bad. Okay. So
good to know. Okay.
Right. Yeah. The old saying, and this is a very New Orleans mentality, because I'll never forget the time one of my patients from New Orleans, she goes, Chris, if there's any one thing I hate doing being from New Orleans is paying for a bad meal. It's like, why would I want to pay for a bad meal? It really stuck to me. So understanding that, really, I got and started going into nutritional type stuff, taking more classes on functional medicine from Apex Energetics or Standard Process, learning from guys like Dr. Van Merkel of Science-Based Nutrition, and then other mentors I've had down the road. It was really interesting that I could kind of correlate and put everything together and go, God, no wonder people are having these issues. No wonder adjustments aren't holding. No wonder these things are going on. The country has changed. This world we live in has changed. And it doesn't seem to be getting any better any sooner. And we saw that, especially in the last 3 years of what's going on,
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. So then you started to build out the weight loss side of your clinic.
Yeah.
And that has led you to this place now where you're deliver most of your services through this medium right here.
Yeah. Either it's, through a video camera or through my cell phone, right? And by the way, prior to going into weight loss, I have to give all the credit to my wife, because at the time I was this quote unquote straight chiropractor. Okay. And,
that's great to know.
That's exactly what it was. And I'll never forget, my wife decided, goes, Chris, we need to do something different. And she took the liberty of purchasing a class 4 laser. Okay. In 2009. All right. It was from Lightcure. And she said, look, I'm going to market this. And she put full page ads out in the newspaper. People were coming in. And then once I saw her stats compared to mine and the amount of revenue she was bringing in, numbers don't lie. And I went, okay, I'm in. I'm willing to look at new niches and new things. And that was 2009. That was truly the beginning of not only with weight loss, but anything we've looked at. We have a completely different viewpoint now on how do we want to look at this? How is this going to bring in more revenue? How is this going to help us help more people? How much more work do we have to do, or how much less work do we have to do now? So that's that. But I would say out of all the things we have done, weight loss has been our jam. That's been the one thing that we've gotten the highest ROI on over the years.
Okay. So you do two different things on that. You do one is you've got your own practice basically set up.
Yep.
But you also help other people do this as well, right? Like you put in systems to bring this obviously specific to weight loss into a clinic to change revenue structures inside that clinic, right?
Right. Yeah. So how I do that is it's kind of the protocol I've been using is the ChiroWithin, weight loss protocol. That has been the most successful thing I have used to date to help people lose weight since 2015, excuse me. And, as a functional medicine doc, we have a habit of making things really complicated. Okay. Between supplements, labs, and all this verbiage, it's like, what's really the true deal here? Well, once I started seeing the weight come off people quickly, like I actually guarantee they're going to burn at least 20, 25 pounds in 6 weeks. Well, anytime you do that to anybody, that inflammatory cascade goes down dramatically. And therefore, guess what? That body has that innate ability to start healing on its own, to start going, getting back to that normal function that it's missed for many years or for a significant amount of time. So when I start seeing blood sugar coming down, blood pressure coming down within weeks, and these are people on medication still. It only gets to a point like, look, call your doctor, please, because it's getting too low now. I mean, they go, wow. I go, I know. When was the last time you had a conversation? Hey, doc, can I get off this medication? My blood pressure and blood sugar is getting too low. Right.
In North America, never.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So when I started seeing these things, as well as digestive issues clear up, I was onto something. All right. It's all about inflammation. Let's get that inflammation down, no matter how we do it. But at least I knew I was doing it and helping my patients in a very safe and calculated manner where people were getting their lives back. And at that point, I go, okay, I'm onto something here. I got a good thing going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So, before I get into the struggles that has become, I truly believe in life. Without struggles, there builds no. Sure. Struggles help build character.
Yeah.
What is the motto, the kind of the creed that's driving Dr. Chris Colgin these days that you look back on as like helping you make decisions, helping you build deeper character?
Well, I mean, I would say the motto is to be more interested than interesting. Before there was a point in my life where I had to be more interesting to get people's attention, and that was a very self-centered, self-mannered way of doing things. Say, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, which is what a lot of us are being told to do, especially in the world of social media and things like that.
Oh my God, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, a lot of the things I do, between TikTok, Instagram, and, everything, I mean, it is kind of about me, right? But at the same time is I try to be interesting to help those. And then, once I talk to them, the interested in them becomes more amplified because I really want to know, wow, what is it you're struggling with? How long did it take for you to get here? This must suck. I mean, and by the way, I've been there before too, so I could totally relate to you. All right, what have you tried? You just go on with that conversation. But it's also interesting to find out from people what they do for a living and how much their health is dependent, or how much, how they need their health, for their careers, for their families. There's a lot on the line if they don't get this thing solved in a short period of time, right? Because it's gone on too long, and that's where it's like, okay, what else is going on in your life here? I mean, I got to know, so that way I have an idea that we have a timeline here. We need to fulfill it. Otherwise, it's no bueno, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it, did you, this is going to be kind of getting into the personal side, but I always find like people that are on a mission, people that are driven, usually have something happen to them that drove that mission. So have you ever, tell me, have you ever struggled with it? Has it ever been something you've been in?
Are you kidding me, man? The struggle's real, all right? I got struggles all the time. It's just a matter of how I let it get to me, right? It's just, I would love to say people see me in the world of me travel and everything else, but like anything, they don't see what's going on in the background. They don't see that, hey, and it's not always hunky-dory with my wife. It's not always hunky-dory in practice. There are some things where, my relationship with God has changed. I actually found a church and a pastor I agree with, after 51 years, it's like, actually, I think you've seen on my social media, Colgin sure is going to church often, and it's like, well, I'm going to these things because I'm taking martial arts there. I'm enjoying things now than I ever have before. I'm in just a different space in my life where I can now realize how important my faith is into knowing that it's all going to work out, no matter what struggles we're going through. I have some faith now that, look, it's going to work out. We're going to have to work at it. We can't just ignore it. We have to take some action, but, we made it this far. There's nothing that's going to stop me from doing anything. And that also comes from experience too, right? Especially if you've been in the pit like you and I have been, and how we kind of met each other too, right? Through Osborne's Men of Iron and things like that. It's like, hey, when you've been through stuff, even if stuff comes at you, you just look at things differently. Tom Hanks had a great thing that said, early in my career, I wish I said this to myself more often. And yes, this too shall pass. Something bad happens. This too shall pass. Something good happens where everything is rolling. And I think I know it all. This too shall pass. Right. And just like anything, this too shall pass. And that's called life. We live on, we move, we learn, we serve, we do the best we can. On to the next.
So I think that is a very timely thing to be presenting right now for people, because we're living in a ridiculous time right now.
let me tell
where
you,
uncertainty is at an all-time high.
between between our armed forces shooting objects down in your airspace or mine,
Right.
the what's going on in the world, the term nuclear weapons being brought up, or just there's just so much craziness, right? It's like, and I think a lot of this too, Kelly, is something that my wife has really taught me over the years was it's out of our control. We just got to be present. Just let's be here now. I go, we can't, we got this now. We can't worry about aliens, nuclear war, whatever's going to happen. We're here. Let's enjoy life. All that stuff is beyond our control no matter what. We just got to, do what we got to do. Let's continue to serve and do what we do best,
Yeah. And that comes into that, just really, I guess, trusting that, you have in here what it takes to go to the next level, whatever that level looks like. Because we don't know. There's a level of uncertainty that we all have to just almost embrace now, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Could it bring another pandemic? Could bring more lockdowns? Like you said, it could bring a ton of different things. But
sure,
you've been through enough to know that you have personally whatever you need that will ascend you to that next level. And it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be all right.
The biggest thing, Kelly, is, the one thing is that, my wife and I over the years have always agreed, look, we're never going to say the word I can't. It's always about how are we going to do this? How are we going to pay that bill? How are we going to go on this trip? How are we going to do this and get to that next level? And, when you stay in the how, there's always possibility with that. But the moment you say I can't, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough, you just cut out the blessing, that's there for you, or any kind of possibility for you to move forward. That's just not how we roll. And unfortunately, too many people are thinking that way right now because they've been so suppressed to think that life has to be a certain way. And there's this whole new world out there for them that they haven't even, got a chance to explore or witness yet. So that's where I find myself very fortunate at is, man, I've seen a lot, done a lot, been through a lot, and hey, I'm still here.
Yeah, right, 100%.
Yeah.
So what do you see the next, say, 3 to 5 years looking like for you, for your practice, for the profession as a whole?
Well, as far as what for myself, and then we'll talk about the profession. Is I foresee myself doing a lot more business consulting and coaching. That I really believe that, okay, I'm at that point in my life now where I have my wins, I have my losses, and I'm still in the game. The brain is still going. It's still being serviced. It's still motivated. There's, it's like, come on, it's still there's a level of service and gratitude every day to always want to be in the game. And so I've seen 5 years from now being more in a world of some kind of coach or consultant. And I'm starting to dive into that right now, as a matter of fact. As far as for the profession goes, I tell you what, if we keep going the way we're going, in this world of toxicity and nutrition, deficits and things like that, I mean, more and more people are going to have to look at what we offer. And I truly believe we're there, because medicine doesn't do anything. I mean, I think people have realized, like, look, if you go to that doctor, this is what you get. You get someone who is handcuffed. You get someone who's handcuffed that is basically looking at your symptom and matching it with whatever drug goes with that. That is called the standard of care, especially in this country. That is medicine. So when I talk to my patients like that, they just go, well, my doctor went to Harvard. He went to Stanford. I go, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have, his common sense has been stripped away from him because he is handcuffed under this system. This is how he has to practice. Anything else is usually not being looked upon as good or acceptable because it's covered by insurance. You do anything covered by insurance, okay, that's a whole new ballgame. You have more restrictions and things that how a certain procedure has to be done. But you talk to people like me, hey, it's weapons free. We're going to use whatever arsenal we can to help you get to the root cause of your issue, provide you a solution that's going to be viable so you can start living your life again rather than living like a zombie, So
100%. I don't think
there's too many zombies right now. There's too many
everywhere.
Everywhere. Look how people are acting. I mean, they're like, hey, are you here? I mean, you and I as kids growing up, I'm a kid of the 70s and the 80s. There was no one on medication in growing up as kids. There was none of this stuff. It's like, what the hell happened? Why are so many children on medication? it baffles me, and it's sad because the childhood that you and I had, that was a childhood. That was where boys could be boys. We could do stupid stuff because that's what boys do. We could jump off a cliff and then think about it later, provided we live through it. We can break an arm and go, yeah, that probably isn't a good thing to do in the future, I mean, but it was just, there was a level of trust in our parents to know that, okay, let's let the kids run around and do everything, and get back home safely, but know that we don't have to coddle them. I just think the kids today are just being coddled too much. They gotta, it's almost like, it's like, let the kids make mistakes. It's okay. It's really okay.
Well, yeah. And I think in our profession, there's never been a more exciting time to be in our profession, because I think there's a greater divergence of people driving themselves to look for alternatives than ever there has been before.
And the other thing too is, like anything in our profession, no matter how you look at it, whether you're straight mixed or philosophically driven or whatever it is, it's all good no matter what, because people are still coming they want to see a chiropractor no matter what their thing is, because they're going there for help for their specific issue, and this is how I believe the profession evolves over time. It's not just this one ideal, but it's also the fact that, look, go to a chiropractor for whatever you're dealing with. My nephew, for example, who was an elite athlete out of San Diego in high school, my half-sister wanted him to go see this chiropractor that was kind of in a system. I go, no, your son's an elite athlete. He needs to see a chiropractor that deals with elite athletes like your son. Otherwise, you're wasting time. There's a whole new level of training, understanding, and knowledge and experience that your son needs. And yes, you're going to pay for it, okay? But you'll understand why when you go there. And she goes, thank you so much for that referral. And I actually had to call some colleagues of mine and say, do you guys have anyone like this in San Diego? Yeah. Honestly, that's out of my wheelhouse. But if you guys have someone, and fortunately, I know people who know people. So it worked out great. It was really awesome.
Beautiful. Okay. So we're going to go do our TCP time machine, right?
Yeah.
Instead of looking forward now, we're going to look back. And if you could give yourself a piece of advice, say 5, 10, even 20 years ago, what would be the advice that you would give a young Dr. Chris Colgin, merging into the field?
Well, let's go back 20 years. That's 20 years. Wow. God, it's just hard to think about that, Kelly. 20 years ago, that was, when you think about that, back then I would say, if I ever had to do anything better 20 years ago, because that was also a very tumultuous time in my life, the biggest thing I would want to have done 20 years ago, and this will help anybody, by the way, is I would say is truly work on your communication skills. Be a better listener, be a better person of interest. Okay, don't be interesting. I would say, that's where my motto goes: is be more interested. It's showing more that there's nothing wrong with caring. To be caring, just don't carry. To be more of a leader in people's lives, not afraid to tell people the truth about why they need this, because they're not being told that by anyone else. And I think that's what I would have done 20 years ago, is really taken on to not just be as passive as I was back then with my patient care, but really to hone it in and say, hey, look, this is what's now that I know this 20 years ago, of how things are going to change. This is what you're going to need to do, and you're going to be, and everything's going to work out fine. Just be more adamant with people, help them out with what they're dealing with, yet just go that distance a little bit further for them than anyone else would for them. To be, just to show people that you care, just showing that caring back. Yeah, I think that's what I would do more.
I love it. Hey, if people want more, Dr. Chris Colgin, where do they go to get in touch with you?
Well, I mean, they could, if they go to, I'm always on Facebook. That's how a lot of people figure out where I'm at, So, I'm Christopher Colgin on Facebook. They can message me on Instant Messenger. If they go to my website at ichoosewellnesscenter.com, all my communication stuff's on there too, or social media links, things of that nature. But pretty much, if you Google Chris Colgin, chiropractor, you'll be able to find me one way or another.
All right.
It's just, but
it's definitely getting easier. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I can't hide anymore. I mean, I'm doing way too many things out there to do that. So I'm out in the open. I'm an open target. So feel free. You can contact me through Facebook or go to my website and you'll see all kinds of ways to get in touch with me that way too.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here. I know as you continue to grow this new facet of your life with regards to your new consulting side, we'll have you on again and kind of give us an update on how things are going.
Yeah, hey, life is it's never a dull moment, in our life.
As it should be, right?
Exactly. And thank you too, Dr. Kelly. I mean, it's been great not only being your guest and being your friend all these years and having this opportunity to be your guest on the TCP podcast. So thank you.
Pleasure. And what did you call this, by the way?
This is a shaka. All right, which means which technically means hang loose, right? So you'll hear the term like, "Oh man, that guy dropped. Boy, you see him drop the kind shaka, brah. Yeah, he was double fisting it, brah. So there's all kinds of things you can do with it. And basically, it just means right on, man. Thank you.
All right.
So
beautiful. Shaka brada. All right. Take care, my friend.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. So head on over to chiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, or just get tons of amazing downloads and free resources. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time on the Chiropractic Philanthropist.